All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to cut through all the noise and demystify one of the biggest buzzwords in business, digital transformation. So, what does it actually mean? And, why should you even care?
So let's just start with a question for you, because the difference between just, using some new tech versus being fundamentally transformed by it, well, that gap is enormous. It's like the difference between using a calculator and completely reinventing your entire financial strategy.
Okay, to really get what transformation is all about, we've got to be super clear on these three different but related terms. First up, digitization. That's the simple one. It's just going from analog to digital, like, scanning a paper file. Then there's digitization. That's using that digital info to make your current work a little bit better, a little more efficient. But digital transformation? Whoa, that's the whole shebang. And that brings us to the real heart of the matter. True transformation is a total teardown and rebuild. It's not just about getting some new software. It is a fundamental, ground-up change to how you operate, how you think, and how you deliver value to your customers. It touches everything.
And this right here, this is so important. It's way less about a single project and way more about changing the entire company's mindset. It's about building a culture where people are always asking why, where experimenting is encouraged, and where failure isn't something to be afraid of. It's just part of the process of getting better.
All right, so how do we wrap our heads around something this big? Well, the best way is to break it down. We can look at it through the lens of three core pillars that really every single successful transformation is built on. Look, it always starts with people. I mean, you can have the fanciest, most expensive tech on the planet, but if your team doesn't have the skills, or even worse, if they're actively resisting the change, it's all completely useless. And this quote, it just nails the core human problem, doesn't it? Change is scary. People get worried about their jobs. They worry they can't keep up. And that's exactly why you need great leaders who communicate clearly and build trust to help everyone get past that natural fear. All right, pillar number 2, process. This is where you get your hands dirty and completely rethink how work actually gets done. It's about automating all that boring, repetitive stuff to free up your people to do more creative work. It's about streamlining everything so the whole organization just moves faster and smoother. And finally, we get to technology. Tech is the engine that makes all this happen. Things like the cloud, AI, and big data, these are the tools that power the changes in your people and your processes. The trick is picking the right tech for your goals, whether that's a CRM, a customer relationship management system to better understand your customers, or an ERP, an enterprise resource planning system to manage all your core operations. Okay, so we've got the pillars: people, process, technology. But how do you actually put it all together and, do it? Well, it turns out there's a pretty common roadmap, a kind of 5-step journey that most successful companies follow. It all starts with a really honest look in the mirror to figure out where you are right now. Then, you build a strategy that actually connects to what the business is trying to achieve. After that comes the rollout, the implementation, and of course, that super important cultural work. And here's the kicker. The most important part, it never really ends. You have to keep monitoring, keep learning, and keep evolving. So what does all this theory look like out in the wild? Let's check out some big names that didn't just buy some new software. They totally reinvented themselves. And what's so fascinating here is that none of these were just about internal tweaks. No way. Each one totally redefined the company's relationship with you, the customer. Netflix went from mailing you discs to knowing exactly what you want to watch. Nike went around the retailers to build a direct connection with you. Starbucks made its app essential, and Tesla basically turned a car into a smartphone on wheels that gets better over time. Okay, but let's get real for a second. This whole transformation journey, it is not a walk in the park. The potential upside is incredible for sure, but the risks of messing it up are just as huge. I mean, just to get a sense of the stakes here, look at these numbers. The market is set to more than quadruple by 2030. This isn't just some passing trend. It's a massive global economic shift. Standing still is simply not an option anymore. And with that much money on the table, you get this incredible push and pull. On one side, you have these amazing benefits that everyone's chasing. And on the other, you have these really tough challenges that can bring the whole thing crashing down. So, let's talk about the good stuff. When you get this right, the payoff is just massive.
We're talking more money, happier customers who stick around, and making smarter decisions because you actually have the data. It's about becoming a leaner, smarter, and more innovative company that can find totally new ways to make money. But on the flip side, the road is absolutely littered with traps. It costs a lot, your people might not have the right skills, and you've got new security threats. But notice what's right near the top of that list: cultural resistance. That's the project killer right there. It's why smart leaders start small, get a few quick, visible wins, and build momentum to show everyone that the change is worth it. And that risk isn't just a theory. Get this, a staggering 70%, 70 of these big transformation projects just fall flat. They don't hit their goals. It's a pretty humbling number that reminds you just how tough this really is. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that digital transformation isn't some project you can just check off a list. It's a constant, ongoing journey of becoming better, which really leaves every single one of us with a big question to think about.